In the complex world of criminal law, the question isn't simply what happened, but how and why it happened. To truly understand crime, not just from a legal perspective, but from a forensic and psychological one, we must look deeper into its structure. Every crime is more than an act, it's a combination of conduct, intention, consequence, and law. Today, we explore the foundational elements that make an act truly criminal. Actus Reus, Mens Rea, Animus Nocendi, and several more critical concepts that define how justice operates in courts and in forensic science labs around the world. We begin with Actus Reus, a Latin term meaning the guilty act. This is the physical element of a crime, the action or sometimes the inaction that leads to a criminal outcome. It may be a stabbing, a theft, a gunshot, or even the failure to act when someone had a legal duty to intervene. But not every action qualifies. The law demands that the act must be voluntary. That means movements done during unconsciousness, a seizure, or under duress may not meet the threshold for criminal liability. Imagine a person committing assault while sleepwalking. They may have committed the act, but without conscious control. The law might not hold them responsible. Forensic experts often enter the picture here, using surveillance footage, footprints, ballistics, or forensic pathology to establish what happened and who did it. In short, Actus Reus tells us the physical story. But a guilty act alone is not enough. A truly criminal act must also be accompanied by a guilty mind. This is what we call mens rea. Mens rea examines the mental state of the person at the time of the act. Was the act intentional? Was it careless? Was it an honest mistake? Or was there a deeper calculated motive? These questions are critical in the eyes of the law. A person who acts with clear intention to cause harm is seen very differently than someone who made a tragic error in the judgment. Legal systems recognize various states of mind, from purposeful intent to knowing conduct to recklessness and finally negligence. For example, a premeditated killing carries a far heavier sentence than an accidental death caused by poor driving. Forensic psychology plays a crucial role here, digging into behavior patterns, digital evidence like search histories, and even closer interviews with the accused to piece together why they acted. Closely related to mens rea is a lesser known but incredibly revealing concept, animus nocendi. This term, often used in Roman law and some civil law jurisdiction, means the will to harm, while mens rea considers levels of responsibility. Animus nocendi focuses on malice. It dives into offers desire, their personal intention to cause destruction or pain. Two people may commit the same act, but their moral and legal standing can be entirely different based on this internal motivation. Consider a person who kills in a moment of fear during a fight versus another who carefully plans a violent attack out of hatred. The second clearly possesses animus nocendi. It's a concept that allies closely with criminal profiling, used to assess whether someone is impulsive, psychologically unstable, or dangerously malicious. Now, even with a guilty act and a guilty mind, a crime is not legally complete without concurrence. The principle that both the act and the intent must exist at the same time If someone plans to commit a crime, then accidentally harms someone days later without the original intention, there is no concurrence and thus possibly no crime. This unity of mind and action is the foundational requirement in legal systems. Forensic timelines, digital timestamps, and behavioral sequences often help establish whether this concurrence was present. The next essential characteristic is causation. Causation explores whether the defendant's actions directly led to the consequence, usually some form of harm. Legally, we examine this in two ways: factual causation and legal causation. Factual causation asks, but for the defendant's actions, would the result have occurred? Legal causation asks, was the result a foreseeable outcome of those actions? For instance, if someone is shot but dies days later from an unexpected allergic reaction due to medication, the law may not hold the shooter responsible for the death because the chain of causation may have been broken. Here, forensic medicine plays an irreplaceable role through autopsies, toxicology, and cause of death reports that leads to the consequence itself, harm. Harm can be physical, such as injury or death, psychological, such as trauma or fear, or even societal, such as public disorder or economic loss. Without harm, many acts remain outside the criminal code. It's not enough for something to be offensive. It must cause a legal recognizable injury, and forensic documentation, from medical records to psychiatric evaluations, is often key to proving the extent and reality of that harm. Another pillar of crime is legality. Simply put, a person cannot be punished for an act that was not defined as a crime at the time it was committed. This is a core principle of modern justice: no crime without law. It protects citizens from retroactive punishment. If a behavior is morally wrong but not illegal under current status, the courts have no power to convict. That's why criminal law must be codified, clear, and continuously updated. Finally, a characteristic often overlooked but crucial to understanding crime is punishment. For an act to be a crime, it must be punishable by the state. That punishment could take many forms: imprisonment, fines, community service, or even in some jurisdictions, capital punishment. What separates a crime from a civil wrong is this power of state to enforce consequences, and those consequences must be proportionate, rational, and grounded in legal principle. The purpose of punishment isn't just retribution, it's also about deterrence, rehabilitation, and protecting society. So, when we think of crime, we must go behind headlines and courtroom drama. Crime is a layered, legally constructed phenomenon. It requires an act, an intention, consequence, and a legal framework that ties them together. For forensic scientists, legal professionals, and criminology students, understanding these characteristics is not just theory. It is the lens through which we read case files, analyze evidence, and pursue justice. If you found this exploration insightful, be sure to hit like, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you never miss our deep dives into criminal behavior, forensic breakthroughs, and legal investigations. Drop a comment below if you have questions or if you would like to explore topics like serial killers, psychological profiling, or real life case studies in future episodes.